What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Run Pure Sports. We're on the PGA show. I always forget the name of this. What is it called, Snyder, again? I'm blanking. What is the name of the PGA show we normally do? The Strokes Gained show. That's the name of it. So we're here breaking it down. Weird intro. It's been a while since I've been on the show. It's been a while since I've been with my friend Snyder and the old soldiers talking some PGA, right? Me and Snyder used to talk PGA once a week. We talk some bets, all that good stuff. And obviously, I missed out on being able to sit back and relax and listen to the old course preview, grab the lotion, as we like to say, on our bet show. But before we do that, Snyder will bring you in. Uncle T might join us during the show. He is having technical difficulties. And listen, it's not just because Uncle T is an old man. Uncle T has Bruce helping him out, an IT guy. So it's not all Uncle T's fault. Don't blame him. He is devastated that he's not here. But Snyder, how are you doing, and how are the soldiers?
Yeah, I'm doing good here. Off of a good week last week. Strong event. My cash team did good. GPP lineups were really good. Showdown was really good. All 3 days, rounds 2 through 4, we had lots of screenshots. I had a couple of chances at a couple takedowns. I think that was round 2. Didn't get there, but it was close. It was a great event. My guy Scotty the Kid got it done again, so that's always good to see. But yeah, looking forward to mixing it up with the man Goat here for some PGA golf winners.
Yep, I'm excited to mix it up with you too, Snyder. We had obviously the Masters just happened. The Masters is a great event. Scotty made it a little bit boring. My guy Bryson couldn't close it out. I was pulling for Bryson for sure, but I do love Scotty. It's actually funny, Snyder, when I was sweating out the games, sweating out the holes, remember when Scotty fell to T4 on Saturday, and then I think Højgaard was in first. I was like top 50 in the GPPs, and I was like, oh, this is a spicy team. And then, I was overweight on Scotty, Snyder, but it just happened to be a Scotty team that was the one that I was rooting on, and it just didn't get home. So it is what it is, but hey, we got this week to bounce back. And typically after a major, Snyder, it's typically kind of boring, right? Like it's typically just a bad event. We do not have a bad event here. We got Scotty, who's in there at 13.3K, who we'll talk about, and Rory and all the 10K guys. But before we do that, Snyder, it's time for the best part of my week. It's the course preview. So give it to me, Snyder. What's the course preview? Let's get the golf noise in the background, right? Like the Masters, nice and quiet, and just listen to you talk about the course.
Yeah, sounds good, man. We're at Harbor Town Golf Links for an elevated event here. Harbor Town's going to measure 7,213 yards. It's going to play as a par 71. Golfers are going to see 18 holes with water in play this week. And some of the smallest greens on tour here, these dome-shaped greens are going to measure 3,700 square feet on average and roll at around 11.5 on the step meter. Golfers are going to need some strong around the green game here and be able to scramble well if they miss some of these smaller greens with their approach shots. The fairways here are around 31 to 35 yards wide on average and are tree lined. The rough is down this year. It was 2.5 inches last year, and they've got it down to right around 1.25 inches this year. The majority of the dog legs are going to go from right to left as well, and it's important that golfers find the correct sides of these fairways for their approach shots coming into these greens. Because if you're on the wrong side of the fairway on a couple of these holes, you could be blocked out from the green. This Pete Dye track will force golfers to club down often off the tee as well. Puts an emphasis on finding fairways off the tee. You're going to need to be able to have some creativity here as well at times. You're going to need some creative shots to be able to have a hot putter down the stretch as well if you want to contend this week. Some other key stats we're looking at this week: strokes gained approach, good drives gained around the green with an emphasis on scrambling, bogey avoidance, proximity 175 to 200, and then putting.
Beautiful course preview, Snyder. I heard the dome-shaped greens. I got excited when I heard that, obviously. But it was a great course preview. And again, great event, right? We have good golfers here. Typically after like a good major, like I said before, we do not have the best field. But Scotty the Kid, he's up there at 13.3K. And one thing I will call out with Scotty is I think it was the tournament before. I did notice Scotty wasn't in first at the time. And I think Scotty is at that territory where you can't just be like, well, if he gets fifth, you need him. Like, especially in a field where you have like real golfers. Now, if it's a field that doesn't have a lot of good golfers and it's just Scotty with a couple other studs, then I think you make that argument. But I do think Scotty has to get a pretty high finish. Like he's got to get like probably fourth, third, second, first. Like he's got to be up there. The T7 probably won't cut it at the price as long as the other studs are up there. Keyword is the other studs have to be up there. If there's value up there, well, then Scotty can work out. So that's just something I think I want to call out. And I think it's important to know when building out your teams. But again, Scotty's 13K. We'll talk about the 10K and above range. We got Rory, 11.2. I'm not a Rory guy. Not going to be trying to play him at 11.2K. Xander at 10.8. He's been playing great all season long. Xander's a good play. Mr. Aberg, Ludwig, I think he is going to be one of these guys to watch for over the next couple of years, and he's going to be an absolute stud. I want to be overweight on him a lot going forward. He will be someone that I am definitely looking at. And then, of course, we got Cantlay and your boy, Colin Morikawa. He is 10K. So what are you doing with Mr. Morikawa and Scotty the Kid? Basically that range, Snyder. What are you doing with that? And yes, I know you're a Morikawa guy, but Mr. Patrick Cantlay has some pretty good course history here, I believe, and he's in that range too. So absolutely loaded range. For me, it looks like Aberg's going to be one of my key guys that I want to be overweight on. A guy I'm definitely going to be underweight on is Rory McIlroy. Who are the guys you're looking at?
Yeah, up top, I think I'm just going to keep going with Scotty up top. I think a lot of people are going to kind of talk themselves off of Scotty with the price tag up to where it is. 13.3 it's a big asking price there. But if there's one guy that can pay it off, I mean, it's Scotty the Kid. And looking at early ownerships, it's early right now, but I'm seeing Scotty kind of right in that 10 to 15% ownership range, which, I mean, it's pretty easy to get overweight on him if he's only going to be like 15%, say, on this slate. I'm going to play well over 15%, probably close to 50% or so this week. I don't think he's a lock this week with that price tag and some of these other guys in there. Like I've been locking him a couple times this year, but definitely going to be well overweight on him. He's now won 3 of his last 4 starts. And he was that little 5-footer away from potentially looking at his 5th straight win, which is just unreal to think of with the amount of talent on the tour these days. 4 straight weeks gaining strokes putting with the addition of the new putting coach and the putter switch as well. And Scheffler has not shot an over par round all season. He's just on another planet right now. So I'm just going to keep going right back to a Scotty this week. I think he's going to be under-owned from what he should be, I think, even at the price tag. And then the next guy that I'm going to be looking at is Xander. I mean, the next closest guy to Scotty over the past, 30, 60 plus days or so has been Xander. He ranks second in strokes gained tee to green and is hitting greens and reg at a 71% clip. Not quite as well as Scotty is, who's hitting it at about a 77% clip, but is really close. Xander's off an 8th place finish last week. Has now finished inside the top 10 in 7 of his last 9 events. He's gained across the board in 4 of his last 5 events. Holds a top 5 finish last year at this trip here. He was top 5 last year, finishing 4th. And 3 of his last 5 events have also ended with him inside the top 5 as well. And he's a minus 145 favorite over Rory in the betting market. So Scotty 1, Xander 2. And then I think a lot of people are going to try and play like Xander Oberg teams and Xander Morikawa teams. I think people are going to try and stack up 2 of these 10K guys versus going with Scotty, which is going to kind of make all the ownership kind of pretty similar. I think a lot of these guys, even going down to like Cameron Young at 8.7 all the way up to Xander, I think all those guys are going to be pretty kind of cap their ownership like 10%. I think they're all going to be kind of within 10%. As I think a lot of people are just going to go that even build. So that'll be interesting to see going forward and such. Morikawa, I do need to talk about him a little bit as well. He came alive last week finally after 3 straight weeks losing strokes approach. The irons finally woke up last week. He had a really good iron week there last week, and then he had the putter to go too. He gained over 7 strokes ball striking at this track again last year. So I think Morikawa is right there in position to have another strong start here. He's minus 160 against Zalatoris in the betting markets, and he's minus 145 against Homa as well. So I'll be on Morikawa some. I only played about 5 to 10% of him last week. Just out of respect, I always play some of him. I think I'm going to play more of him. I'll be slightly overweight on the field. It looks like the field is going to be, somewhere in that 12 to 16, 17% range. I think he ends up somewhere around 15%, so it won't take too much to get overweight on him as well. But that's where I'm sitting on the 10K range. I don't know if I'm going to be able to fit Aubert or not. I'd rather just play Xander right now because I think he's better off in this spot. Aubert's coming off that big week last week. Be interesting to see how he responds. But the dude is just like a robot. I mean, you cannot say anything really bad about him. I think Aubert is that next guy that's going to be on that Scotty level maybe in the next year or so.
Yep, I agree. And, AP is in here, so I have to say this, right? Aubert is a Chipotle guy, right? Of course, our guy AP will be all over him. He loves Chipotle. But it's a great range up here, right? There's a lot of guys. And another note that you brought up that I thought was good is, well, if you play Scotty the Kid, Snyder, you're left with 7-3 for your last couple spots. Now, if I plug in, let's go the cheapest guy, Morikawa, I'm left with 6,600 for 4 golfers. It's just people are, if they jam in the 2 studs, like they do like a Xander Morikawa build, which let's throw that in right now. We'll change Scotty for Xander. Well, now I'm left with 7,300 for my spots. And that's that sweet spot. Everyone loves that 7K range, right? They love it way more than the 6K range. So you might be right about Scotty's ownership. I could see it dipping a bit for sure. We'll have to see. It's definitely something to monitor for sure as the ownership comes out, right? As we update projections and the industry updates everything, and then we react to it, right? We're here to talk about it, though. Sounds like there's some guys that you like there. Who are the guys you're overweight on in this range? And then we'll move on to the next one again. Mention it one more time.
Scotty, Xander, and then I'm going to try and get over on Morikawa, but mainly on Scotty and Xander. In the teams I don't play Scotty, I'm definitely going to have Xander in.
Okay, right now I'll tell you, Aberg definitely overweight on Scotty or Rory, definitely fade. I'm definitely a little more behind on my research, and AP asked me a little last minute to get on here, so but that's where I'm at with that range. Let's get to this 9K range, and of course we got crew in the chat saying he is going Fleetwood and Cantlay, and hey, I'm a Fleetwood guy. I like Tommy Fleetwood, but one thing, Snyder, I don't know if I like 9.8K Tommy Fleetwood. Now, course history is good if you look. 15th, 10th, missed the cut in 25th. As we continue in this 9K range, we have a lot of guys that have some pretty good course history up in this range. I mean, Matt Fitzpatrick, for one, he said, this is my favorite golf course. He has incredible history here, right? You look, one last year, missed the cut, 4th, 14th, 39th. And then the next guy below him, Mr. Jordan Spieth. He's got a 2nd and 1st in his last 2 outings here. He is dealing with that injury. I know it was an absolute disaster at the Masters. For me, I'll let people chase that course history. I just don't think things are right. I'd rather take a chance on a Will Zalatoris who doesn't have great course history here, who's just a great golfer, right? And just in a good spot in general if I want to take a chance on guys in this range. But for me, the guy I like the most is Matt Fitzpatrick. That would be the main guy I would key on. What about you, Snyder?
Yeah, I don't mind that at all. Fitzy's going to be a guy try and get into the pool there. I think I do prefer Fleetwood over Fitzpatrick, though. Basically, just I think Fleetwood's going to be a little less owned there. Only $200 more. I mean, he's been playing some elite golf. I mean, he's been in his last 2 starts, T3 at the Masters, T7 the week before. Fleetwood holds a pair of top 15 finishes in his last 2 trips here as well. He's been strong around the green, which is going to come in very handy today. And then you look at what is Vegas thinking of Tommy Fleetwood this week. Well, Vegas has him matched up against Fitzpatrick in a couple of matchups, anywhere from -140 to -145. Fleetwood's a favorite over Fitzy, so I think I'm going to side on. I'm still going to try and get some Fitzy in there, but I'm going to have more Fleetwood inside with Vegas on that side. And Fleetwood's also matched up with Cantlay in some matches as well, where he's also a favorite. Not as big of a favorite. He's more so like -115 to -120 in some of those matchups against Cantlay. So Vegas is on Fleetwood. I'm going to keep riding Fleetwood as well. I've been playing him the last couple of weeks. It's been working out well, so we're going to keep on that. Fitzy was the guy that just really hurt my feelings last week, most notably on Sunday. He was right there. Like, I had a bet on Fitzpatrick, the top 20, and he shoots 3 over on Sunday to finish T22, which was hurtful, but I don't mind him there. The irons were a little off last week, but does hold great for him here. He did win this event last year as well. It was T4 in 2021 and T14 in 2020. So I think Fitz is fine here. And then the other guy I'll look at is Zalatoris. I haven't ran any teams yet, so I'm not sure how many of these guys I'm going to be able to fit in there and such. I'm going to play a few different GPPs and run a couple different scripts in each one of them. But yeah, Zalatoris is always a guy I like to look at in these bigger type events. It's an elevated event. They're playing for $3.6 million up top. And I think Zalatoris, the game looked a lot better last week than it did the last 2 weeks. He started the season off really good. Kind of went on a little tailspin there the last 2 events before the Masters, but he woke up in that big time spot last week, finished top 10, gained over 7 strokes ball striking. Zalatoris must get the putter going, though, at this event, though. He needs to make some putts. He can't afford to be losing, 1 to 2, 3 strokes putting at this event and expect to be in contention with the way this sets up. So I'm on Fleetwood, actually, as my top guy in this 9K range, and then Fitzy and Zalatoris.
Yes, Snyder. I will never disagree with Fleetwood. Any slander towards them, I'm not happy with. I like myself some Tommy Fleetwood. I just do think 9.8 is expensive. Right? I typically like him. Like last week, I absolutely loved him. I was in the Discord chat talking about it, looking at the Vegas odds. I was like, it's just wrong. I don't care about the ownership. You just got to make sure you don't play all the high-owned guys, right? If you have X golfers 20%, right, and then you got another 18%, a 16, an 18, a 30. It's not going to cut it, right? We got to mix and match. That's perfectly fine. And Tommy Fleetwood's someone that I like. And hey, sounds like he's going to be lower owned at 9,800 too. I'll definitely like Fitzy. Those be 2 guys I definitely like a lot. And Zalatoris. Those seem like 3 guys I'll definitely be a fan of. You didn't talk much about Max Homa, I believe, at 9.7. Do you think he should get a little bit more love after performing at a course like the Masters, which he is typically not good at the Masters, right? Everyone normally wants to fade him there. And hey, bad history here too. Do you think people will be on him though?
I think some people could go to him. I'm not really on him though this much. He's not really getting too much love from the betting markets. Like Henley, Cameron Young, Siwoo, some of those guys all have better win odds than him. But I think Homa's fine though if you want to mix him in to the MME pool and such. Looking at his ownership, yeah, he'll be kind of relatively lower owned for this group. I think he'll be somewhere in that 11 to 15% ownership range, which I think a lot of these guys are going to be really close, like I said, in this range. So just pick the best guy that you like this week and run with it, I think.
Yep, agree on that. If you want Snyder's MME pool, he'll obviously give you a lot of plays in the playbook. He does a ton of content over here at Run Pure Sports, does the showdown stuff as well. If you want my stuff, I do the single entry 3 max. Use that code RPS15. It'll get you 15% off your first payment. Also, if you guys are here, I'm sure Kevin did it. He's got the Run Pure logo. Hit that like, right? I'm sure Kevin's hit the like. Happy to have you here, Kevin. AP's not here this week, but if you want his stuff, he'll be posting it all like he normally does each week. He's just busy running around. And our guy, Uncle T, he wishes he was here, but he's having some technical difficulties. There's a chance we get him jumping on at some point during the show. So stay tuned for that. Maybe if you hit the like, maybe that'll help Uncle T get on there and help the technology work a little bit better. But Snyder, it's time to go to the 8K range. And hey, still a great range of golfers. Yeah. Guys, this is always like the range, Snyder, where like you see names that are either a little overpriced or a little underpriced, right? And there are some guys that we definitely have to discuss here. So first of all, you see Sahith Theegala at 8.9, and you definitely kind of like do a double take here. That is expensive for Sahith in this kind of field, right? I mean, this is a field with a lot of names. You got Cam Young, 8.7. That price is fine. Tony Finau, 8.6. Everyone loves their 8K Tony Finau, right? When he's in that 8K range, everyone wants to just pound him. They love him there. Justin Thomas, 8.4. AP is probably very disappointed that he missed the cut. I saw him tweeting about it, but 8.4 for Justin Thomas is territory we have not seen in a very long time. We got Corey Connors, Sam Burns, Henley, and Siwoo Kim. A range with a lot of different good golfers here. We also, I didn't mention one guy, Shane Lowry, Mr. Course History. This is the course history guy in this range. He's got a 67th, 3rd, 9th, missed cut, and 3rd. So that's the breakdown here, Snyder. What's your overall thoughts?
Yeah, my favorite option in this range is going to be Cameron Young here. He was a general today in the general segment. I think Cameron Young just looks underpriced here. I think I would rather play Young than a handful of the guys in the 9K range, honestly. He's been a great ball striker over the last 7 events, and he's been averaging 5.8 strokes gained ball striking in those 7 events. The putter's been heating up, I think, for him a little bit. He's gained in his last 2 events, but the putter has been up and down for him this year. But I think it's starting to kind of heat up. Looking at the last 2 events, I think he's going to carry that forward. It's off back-to-back top 10 finishes. Finished T3 here in 2022 as well. So I think Cameron Young is the guy I'm kind of circling down here. I know he's going to see a decent amount of ownership. I don't think it's going to be too crazy, though. Probably somewhere in that 15 to 20% range. Potentially, I think 20% is the peak, depending on what contest you're in and such. But Cameron Young just looks to be underpriced here, so I'm definitely going to be in on him. And then another guy that looks to be really underpriced in this range is Russell Henley, 8,100, near the bottom of this range. Vegas is really high on him as well too. I mean, Henley has the 11th best odds to win this event on Pinnacle, and he's priced as the 20th highest priced guy. He's a favorite over Wyndham Clark in the matchup markets, -125, and he's favored over Lowry as well. The course history guy, Lowry, is -120 against Lowry. So Henley is a guy that I'm gonna be overweight on him. I think he's a strong play this week. He's had up and down form though here. I mean, he was T19 miscut, T9 miscut the last 4. He was top 5 a couple events ago. Had a really bad weekend at the Masters, and he only finished T38. But I do like Henley this week quite a bit, so I'm going to get there. He really struggled down the stretch on Friday too. It looked like he was going to punt his way to missing the cut, but the cut fell to +6, so he survived and didn't really do much on the weekend as well. But I like Henley this week. The course sets up really well for him as well. I think Connors is going to be another guy that sees some ownership. I'd rather play Henley over Connors. I think they're going to be relatively the same ownership there. So I'm going to play Henley over Connors, but Connors will be still a guy that I mix into the MME pool, though. If I run 150, I'll have him in there. I'll have Lowry in there. Out on Finau, probably out on Sahith. I don't think I'm going to go to Sahith. I'd rather play Cameron Young for 200 cheaper. I still think Theegala is going to see some ownership, probably in that 10 to 13, 10 to 14% range. I'm just going to play Cameron Young over him. I'm not going to click Justin Thomas. I haven't played him all year. We'll keep on that same trend. And then Sam Burns, he's not in the best of form. Probably I'll be out on him as well. I'll just get overweight on Russell Henley. And Siwoo Kim is a guy that we usually talk about. Siwoo Kim on Pete Dye tracks, but this has been the one Pete Dye track that he's just not been good at. I mean, 3 missed cuts in his last 5 trips. His best finish here has been a T33 in the last 5 years. So I may be off of Siwoo too. He's going to be around that 15% ownership range as well. So I'd rather play Henley over him as well.
Listen, I am a Siwoo Kim guy. I'm upset to hear about the course history there, but that is fair. Those miscuts are brutal. But hey, one thing he's good at is a good DK score. So if you care about that, the one thing you mentioned in this range, Snyder, that I kind of caught my eye is, one, I'm a big Vegas guy, right? When I do a lot of my stuff, I look at the Vegas odds early in the week. I like to do them later in the week, and I like to adjust on it. And you told me Russell Henley's Vegas odds are looking great, kind of better than the position. Like, 2 guys I took a huge stand on and talked about in the Discord late on Masters week were Bryson DeChambeau and Tommy Fleetwood. And that worked out pretty well. Like, I love following that stuff. I like looking at different types of matchups. Sounds like Henley is someone I got to give a second look at, especially when it comes to looking at the betting market and seeing how he grades out against these guys. Like, if he somehow is in a matchup with Jordan Spieth and they're even money, I mean, that's going to be a big tell that I should be playing Russell Henley. So that's something I want to look at. I think that's a really good point. And honestly, I liked Henley last week. I should like him again this week, right? He's been hitting some really good irons just in general. Seems like a really good option. So I want to be on him. Let's get to this next range here. So we're in the 7K range, Snyder. This is where I'm getting real excited because this is the soldier territory, right? This is where we finally get to maybe hear about the Snyder soldiers for the people. So, yeah, I'm excited. You're going to have to tell me some soldiers, but let me dig in and kind of see if I can figure out who they are as we go through this range. For one, I mean, Benyon felt pretty cheap last week. He's definitely priced up now. You kind of see these swings in PGA DFS. I still don't mind Benyon here at 7.9K. I don't think he's a bad play. I don't know what to do with Brian Harman. Brian Harman was an absolute mess last week. Now, his course history is not bad here. I think that's worth calling out. Maybe you have some insight on what went on with him last week. Then you got Denny. Denny's definitely priced up now, but Denny's someone I've been wanting to be a buyer on. He's got good course history here. I'll probably be a buyer on him. A guy that I think I could be a soldier this week, Snyder, has good course history. Hasn't really popped yet this season, but this could be the event. JT Poston. You'll have to tell me when we get there, but I think JT Poston is definitely an interesting option and in the conversation for sure. Another good course history guy that we're going to see in this range, it's Cam Davis. Cam Davis had some really good course history, 2 top 10s the last 2 years, and he's only played here 3 years in the last 5, and he got even a 25th. So seems like he's been trending in the right direction here. And then a couple other guys to mention. I know you've been a big Taylor Moore guy recently. I've liked Taylor Moore a lot this season, and it's worked out pretty well. He seems like someone that I want to keep buying in on, even at that 7.4K price tag. What do we do with Sung JM? That's another question I'll ask you. I'm curious because he does not have bad course history here, but he has just been an absolute train wreck. And I'm sure you got other guys that I haven't even mentioned to discuss here, Snyder. So break it all down for me. 7K range. Who do you got?
Yeah, I think this is a great range. I think there's a lot of good value in this to kind of help make some builds work with Scotty and whoever you want to play, some of those 10K guys. I think there's some really good options here in this 7K range. I'll start up top. I don't think I'm going to play Benyon this week. I'd rather play the guys below him a little bit. Brian Harman, I think this is a really good flop-like spot for him, for the little guy here on the track that should set up real nice for him. He's made his last 4 cuts here was T7 last year here. The worry about Harman is his approach play has gotten worse in his last 3 events. He lost 6 strokes approach last week, but that was mainly due to the back 9 on his first round. I don't have the stats up right now, but I think he shot like 42 on the back 9, just full-on sent it and ejected on the back 9. I didn't play terrible the second day in much tougher conditions, but that back 9, if I remember it right, was just absolutely horrible for him. Really put him down towards the bottom. And that pairing last week, Harman was playing with Koepka. Neither of them really played that good. They don't really like each other because Harman plays a lot slower. Koepka was on their ass in that Open, kind of talking about how he's playing so slow and stuff. So maybe that was just a bad mojo pairing for the two of them. But I'm willing to give Harman the pass last week and then go right back to him this week at 7,800. Pretty solid course history here. T7, T35, T13, T28 the last 4 years. So back on Harman in that 7K range. I think Denny's a fine option here in this week. He can find fairways off the tee. He's a great putter. He's made 4 of his last 5 cuts here with a pair of top 25. So I think Denny is in play. And the Postman, definitely. I like the Postman quite a bit this week. Time to jump back on the Postman this week. Strong price tag in that mid 7Ks. Elite course upside here. As he's finished in the top 10, 3 of the last 5 trips. Comes off a solid T30 last week at Augusta. So I'm in on the Postman this week. Poston, yeah, I mean, he's either been boom or bust at this event. He's T3, T8, T6 for the 3 times he's made the cut. He's missed 2 of the other times, but if you play that zigzag theory, it looks like he should top 10 again this week. If that theory's right, if we're gonna get on that sequence there. And then Cam Davis is another guy I really like. I played him last week. He was a great value, I thought, last week. Paid off really well at T12 last week at the Masters. Great course history here as well. Also going T7, T3, T25 in his last 3 trips. Enters with great form. T21 or better in 4 of his last 6 starts. With his only miscut coming at the Players, which I'll just give him a pass on there to Players. So I think Davis is a strong option this week. 7-4. Taylor Moore was the guy I thought Taylor Moore and Lucas Glover were the keys to last week. They were both 6'4", 6'3", really allowed you to just jam in Scotty. So those were like two of the highest owned guys I had last week. And Moore was great last week. Finished T20, real strong finish for the 6.4K price. Elite form for the price tag as well. He's went T20, T2, T12, T31 in his last 4 events. Finished top 11 or T11 here last year in his first trip to this event. He's minus 120 against Adam Hadwin in the markets. He's made his last 15 cuts on tour. So I think Taylor Moore is once again a really strong value, and we may see him on the Soldier segment tomorrow. I think some other guys right in this range are really strong. Todd, Shank, Pavon, some strong values at the bottom of this range. I was talking to our guy Club Cam last week on Wednesday, and he really got me on Pavon last week. And he's one of the better putters on tour. I think he could really thrive at this event where you need to be a good putter, catch a hot putter. He's got that. He's been a Soldier a couple times this year already. He's got finishes of 7th at the Sony, 3rd at Pebble, 5th at Singapore. That event he played before the Masters, and then 12th at the Masters, and as well he had that win at the Farmers. So he's been strong for us all year. I'll be right back on Pavon this week. I think my favorite options in this range is probably Taylor Moore, Cam Davis, and probably Pavon. I think those are the top 3 options for me in the 7K range, but there's 20 guys in this range. I think it's a really loaded range. I'm going to be looking to mix and match a lot of these guys in my builds this week.
Yes, Snyder, we are in agreement. This range, a lot of really good plays. And we talked about some of those builds. You're going to land on like 3 guys in this range at some points, maybe even 4. So, yeah. And looks like you sold someone, right, on the Pavon over Hogue. So, love to see that. Again, I like this 7K range a lot. And it's not that just I like this range, Snyder. I think when you compare it to the 6K range, listen, the 6K range has some plays, but I typically lean in, like a lot of people, just loading up on that 7K range. A lot of good plays, a lot of ways to get different with it, so I'm okay with it. But the 6K range this week, it's definitely not a joke, right? Let's start with Emiliano Grillo. I think Emiliano Grillo has really good upside. He's one of those guys, I just feel like you consistently play as he's cheap, and over time, you're going to get miscuts. You're going to get those T55s or the 40s, but he has the upside to actually get a T10 and help you win on your lineups, right? He has win equity. Like it's not huge, but he has it, right? He has top 10 equity that other golfers don't have. Lucas Glover, I know he's been someone that you've touted up, I think, a little bit over the past like month or two. So he's someone I'm sure you'll touch on. Adam Hadwin feels cheap at 6'7". It feels like a buy low. Same thing with Eric Cole. And then what on earth is going on with Justin Rose? 3 straight missed cuts, but 6.6K does feel cheap for someone like Justin Rose. We got Dietrich down here at 6'3". I know he's got some upside. Our boy Gary Wooderland, who we like to always talk about and make jokes about. And he was a disaster last week. So 6K range though, Snyder. Break it down. Maybe there'll be some Soldiers here. Maybe there won't be, but who do you got?
Yeah, I don't really have too much conviction on a lot of these 6K guys. Yeah, I do think there's some options down here for sure, though. Like I'm gonna keep going to my guy Lucas Glover. I've been playing him the last few weeks. I mean, he's been absolutely strong for us. Last week, him and Taylor Moore were the 2 keys for me to kind of get up to some of those studs. And if I would have played just more Obear over, I played a lot of Hideki last week, and that really held me back from like some big scores. Because I was super heavy on Hideki and moderately on Obear. If I would have been the other way there, I mean, in hindsight, but definitely going back to Glover at 6'8". I think he's a strong option. This price tag at Showdown last week, even as well, for those 3 days, they kept him at 6'3". So that was huge for us on the Showdown streets last week as well. Strong T20, the toughest field last week, tough conditions last week as well. He's another guy that the Vegas guys in Pinnacle are really high on. Lucas Glover this week. He's got the 18th best win odds on Penny right now before the show started, and he's all the way down at 6'8". So I think Glover is a guy that like in that $10.18 max and the $3.20 max and some of those. I think I'm going to lock Glover in a couple of those contests and just see where the cards lay out. He definitely helps you out with those studs up top. I think he's the best, easily the best option in this 6K range. He's made 3 of the last 4 cuts here as well. And enters in good form, T20, T25, then 11th as well in his last 3 starts. So I like him. I think Hadwin's fine down here. Svensson's another guy. It's a cheapie down at 6.4K. He's made 3 straight cuts, but the finishes haven't really been there for him. He's been finishing kind of in the 50s there, but he does have a T41 and a T26 in the last 2 years here. He just helps make things work if you want to get all the studs up top. So I think Svensson's the guy you can add into your pool and just hope that he can finish inside the top 40 or something. Dietrich's down there. He's been playing better the last couple of ends. He missed a cut last year here, but I think he's a fine option. I'm not going to play Waterland. I just haven't been playing him at all. Patrick Rogers, horrible recent form. Not going there. Webb Simpson did win this event a few years back, but I just don't think I can go there. The one guy that seems interesting to me is Toasty. He's 6'1". He's playing by himself. He's the first group out on the tee times, playing as a solo. Sometimes we see those solos that go out early by themselves just get into a rhythm there, and they just kind of nuke by themselves. So I think Toasty's interesting in large field tournaments at only 6'1". That really helps like jam in Scotty or something. So I'm going to have some Toasty in my pool at 6'1", as that kind of stuck out to me as he was going off in a solo in the first group out day 1.
Snyder, you don't know, but I am a Toasty fan. I happen to have him. Which event was it? I'm sure it'll show up in the logs. It was the good one, right? Like I had a really good sweat when he got the second, right? Yeah, the T2. Yeah. Snyder, I'm in on Toasty. You have sold me. I did not know for sure I was going to be on him in this. I didn't even know he was in the field, right? Again, I'm just in the hosting duty for tonight, but I'm in on it. You've sold me, and hey, I am going to play Scotty, so he will help with the Scotty builds, right? So that's a great point there that you brought up. I'm with you on Waterland. I don't need to buy into that. I'm good. And honestly, there's a lot of other guys in this range that I just think have better upside. Like Adam Svensson, we've seen when his irons get hot, they get hot, right? And it's just simple. And if you want to take a chance on him, that's fine. But again, that 7K range is loaded this week. I want to be in that 7K range. I want to live there. I love the Glover call by you. I think he's another good option. One of the members or one of the subscribers, and if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, I assure Mr. It's Magic is a subscriber to the Run Pure Sports YouTube channel, and he hit the like button. But Mr. Andrew Putnam, let's answer this question for him. Do you have any interest in him here on this slate?
I think Putnam's a fine option there. I mean, he can make some birdies, 6'4". He ranks out really good around the green. The short game's good. So I think Mr. Putnam is definitely a guy to look at. He's good. He's really accurate off the tee, too, hitting about 66% of his fairways, 70% of his greens in regulation. So I think Putnam's a fine option. Another guy down here I kind of looked over is our guy, Mr. Malinetti. I think he's in play this week as well. 6'3". He was a big favorite over somebody in the betting markets or the matchups. Need to find where he's at. Putnam's minus 160 against EVR in the matchup markets as well. And then Malinetti was matched up against Toasty. Malinetti was minus 165 against Toasty, but I like both of those guys. I think all three of those guys are interesting for cheapies down at the bottom of that 6K range.
All right, a couple notes with the 6K range, just so we can wrap it up. We'll put a bow on it. Then we'll give our winners. We'll give our favorite guys to win, or our best guy at the top, guy at the bottom that we like. Emiliano Grillo, 7th missed cut, 2nd missed cut, and 33rd. Pretty good for Emiliano Grillo here. Eric Van Rooyen, he has a top 10 here, so that's worth mentioning. That was a couple years ago. And then 2 more guys, Snyder. 5 years ago, your boy, I feel like he's your boy. You like some Seamus Power. Seamus Power got a 6th 5 years ago, again, a while ago, but I'm just mentioning it. We know what his upside can be. And then Webb Simpson. I'm not a Webb Simpson guy anymore. That ship has sailed. I let that go a while ago. 3 years ago, he got ninth. He won it here 4 years ago. So that's kind of some of the course history notes, Snyder. Anything stick out there for you?
Yeah, I can be sold on some Seamus down there too at 6-1. He's a guy that could be there. I think like 6K flat. Bryce Garnett is fine. I think he's got some upside down there. He won what, like 6 weeks ago? I think he won on tour. He's got a top 20 here a few years ago as well. So I think Garnett's interesting. I think you could maybe even go to like some Eric Barnes if you want at 6K flat. Nothing. Chandler Phillips, he had a pretty good finish at the Valspar. He finished third. He's 6K min price as well. So I think there's some interesting guys that I'm going to sprinkle in at like 3% ownership, like 3 to 5%, like in 150 or something down here.
All right. Like all those calls, Snyder. Let's shift to the winner, right? I'm gonna go first. That way, that way you don't steal my guy. But I'm going Mr. Avery. That's my guy I'm taking. He's gonna be my winner for the tournament. He's gonna be a guy I'm definitely well overweight on. Snyder, who do you got?
Well, aside from Scotty, I think anytime Scotty's in the field, he's close to even money to winning. He's 4-1 on most of the sides. So I'm not going to go there, though. I'm going to go down the board. I'm going to go down the board a little bit. I'm going to take Cameron Young at 28. You can still find him at 28-1 right now on FanDuel. I think he was in the 30s earlier this week. I'm going to go Cameron Young at 28-1 as my shorter shot.
All right. My deep guy, right? The guy I'm going with that's far off the board. I'm going with Emiliano Grillo. I'm a big Grillo guy. I know he doesn't, this is a very long shot. You're getting a very deep odds here. Let's go with Emiliano Grillo. He's got some good history here, and he has been playing some good golf before the Masters. And Emiliano Grillo is that kind of guy. You don't really worry if he misses the cut. Sometimes he misses the cut, sometimes he doesn't. He's really up and down. It's been more consistent this year, but I'm going to go to Emiliano Grillo as my deep, dark guy. Who do you got tonight?
I'm going to go way down in that 6K range. I'm going to go, there's some value at FanDuel. Lucas Glover is currently 53-1 on Pinnacle. But if you go and look at FanDuel has a 65-1 on him. BetMGM has a 66 if you have access to that. But I'm going to go with Lucas Glover as my longer shot.
All right, Lucas Glover it is. Steven asks, is the wrist an issue? Snyder, we talked about Spieth slightly, but is the wrist an issue for you? For me, I think it is. And it's not just that. I like other guys in that range, right? When I look at that range, and I think Snyder's probably in similar agreements, I'd rather play Fleetwood. I'd rather play Zalatoris or Fitzpatrick. And I just don't play everyone in each range. But Snyder, what's your takes on Jordan Spieth and his wrist?
Yeah, I'm not going to go there. I haven't really been playing Spieth much at all. I think I've played him maybe like twice over the last couple of years. This will not be the third time I play him, though. I'll be off of Spieth this week.
All right, well, that's going to wrap it up for us. We did the course preview. We broke down every single range. And we'll answer one more question.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Tom Kim, Snyder? What is your thoughts on Tom Kim at 7,400? He is one of those guys that's in that 7K range that, hey, he feels underpriced for who Tom Kim is.
Yeah, Tom Kim had that monster round 4 there. Round 4 was actually the only round he gained off the tee last week. Had that, I think he shot 6 under there. I mean, the ball striking was right. Everything was good for him in that fourth round. The short game wasn't there for him at all. The first 3 rounds, he lost strokes. Short game the first 3 rounds, but gained almost 2 strokes. Short game in that last round, and then gained almost 5 strokes ball striking after losing the 2 rounds before that ball striking. I think Tom Kim's definitely a guy to have consideration in your MME pool. So I think for this week.
All right, Snyder, we did the course preview. We broke it all down. We gave our winners. We got all the content up for you tomorrow, so be sure to check all that out. We got tons of shows for you tomorrow in the golf streets. Got NBA playoffs, MLB. No better time to sign up and use that code RPS15. Get you 15% off. Also, subscribe to the channel. Check out when the shows go live tomorrow. Hit that like button. We would appreciate it. For me, Sweet Travis, and the Snyder Soldiers. We'll see you guys later.